AI, NFTs, blockchain, DJing, nightlife, house music, techno music. Guys, this podcast you're about to watch is one of the most special podcasts that I've done because it's with one of my best friends, Danny Daze. Danny also, his name is Danny Gomez. We've been friends for over 25 years, and he has managed to build an incredible and successful career as a DJ, traveling all over the world. He's known throughout the entire world as one of the best in the underground space of house music, of techno music. I have been a huge fan of him for my entire adult life. And like I said, we're friends too. And he's here today. And we're not just talking about the fact that we grew up together, we played tennis together. I'm only saying this now because as soon as we get to this show, we go all in on what he's doing now in regards to NFTs and blockchain and how he's trying to actually help the industry, the artist industry of not just music, but movies and everything on how blockchain, Web3, and NFTs could actually help the artists actually make a decent living creating and putting out more music and putting out more art for everyone else to listen to. It's an amazing podcast. If you're a business person, entrepreneur, you're going to see where this goes, where it could just be so beneficial for you to learn exactly what's happening in regards to AI, technology, Web3, and everything like that. So guys, this is a special one. And don't forget to subscribe to the show and hit the bell icon so that you could watch more, because every Monday, the guests are only getting better and better for you to enjoy. So let's get into it right now in 3, in 2, in 1. All right, everybody, welcome to the show. I've got a very special guest today. Not only because I consider him extremely successful, but not only successful, probably one of the most... I don't call too many people the smartest people that I know, but I honestly think that Danny is one of the smartest people that I know, and also an innovator and someone who is, quite frankly, I honestly look up to with what he's been able to accomplish throughout his short adult life, I guess I would say. So Danny Daze, welcome to the show, man.
The man, dude. Vincent Bartholomew Perri.
That is not my nickname. I mean, my middle name, by the way.
It'd be sick.
Do you remember my middle name?
No.
No?
I don't even know if I knew it.
Dominic.
No idea.
So I want to also introduce you as not just DJ Danny Daze and, electro, techno, Miami bass, booty music, all of it from A to Z throughout all these years, but also as my personal friend. You and I have been friends since we were 14 years old. Yeah,
more than 25 years now.
Is it 25 years?
Yeah, more than 25 years.
You know what's funny?
I've known you for a minute.
You probably don't know this, but I remember we're sitting down on the tennis court on the green bench, and you come to me and you're like, what do you think of Danny Daze?
Dude, I remember that conversation.
Do you?
Actually. I used to be DJ Quickie before for 1 week, and then my mom gave me that name. And I was like, what do you think about that? But it was more based on me trying to do weddings and bat mitzvahs and stuff like that, thinking that I wasn't going to be a DJ.
Yeah.
Like doing what I'm doing now. And yeah.
I remember I would help you set up on some of those too.
Yeah. It's still a terrible name, dude. Like,
I remember saying I didn't like it.
Yeah. It's still a terrible name. It doesn't sound techno at all, but it's who I am.
Yeah, but it works.
Yeah.
What I wanted to get into before, anybody could look you up and they could listen to your music on YouTube or Spotify or wherever the heck that they want to. What I have found most interesting, I talked about it last night, and by the way, great show last night.
Thanks.
What we were talking about last night, and you've been telling me a lot about crypto. You've been telling me a lot about how you've been into it since 2011. Since 2011.
Yeah.
But when I started to do a little bit of research last night after the show, and I started to look, let me see what I could find, because you were telling me that you're speaking on panels and all kinds of stuff now, and I thought that's interesting. This show is really about, it's all about entrepreneurs who are trying to be successful, to get out there, do their own thing, but it's also like on all the sort of things that are coming, right? So AI and stuff like that. So you really sparked something in my brain where it's just like, all right, this is interesting. I don't know too much about it. So let me at least take a little bit of a deep dive into it, before our show. So what are some of the things that you're working on in regards to what I looked up here is blockchain, NFTs, Web3, and we can get into the conversation, but what is it that you're doing now that's actually outside of you getting up on the DJ booth and actually playing music for people?
I think the biggest thing for me right now is connecting the Web3 space to music and being able to have conversations with people so they can understand that it's past making money. There's a big gap for the artist on how they can live off of this stuff. So being able to have, possession and own your own music, having everything be decentralized, for me is a really big deal.
So I looked it up. Probably a lot of people don't know, like I didn't know what the hell Web3 was. So Web 1 is from the 1990s to the early 2000s. You would read the internet. So static websites, you just read stuff.
Right.
Web 2 is 2005 to now, where you read and write. Social media, you can post, create, comment, stuff like that. Web 3 fucking blew my mind.
Read, write, and own.
Read, write, and own. So now it's decentralized platforms built on blockchain. You own your data, your content, and your identity. And when I sat down and thought about it, I was just like, we own nothing now when you really think about it.
We're dependent on Web 2, or we're dependent on a website being up. While, that website crashes, you're screwed.
Right.
So, having the Web 3 space where you can run it and you own everything is the biggest thing happening right now. And I think that's where everybody's head should be at, because the biggest thing right now is collection of data. You should be making money if it does come in from that data,
right?
Rather than giving 95% of it to somebody else,
right?
It's a pretty big thing that I'm focused on now.
Instead of uploading your music to Spotify and renting out to your audience, you could basically host it yourself on blockchain and based platforms. You get paid directly for streams, ownership, no gatekeeper, censoring, or anything like that, and you own 90% of your money.
Exactly. And you're able to follow and create heat maps, say with an NFT. If your music now, if one track is an NFT, you can follow that on a distributed ledger and know where it is that it's being played, be able to create a heat map. And for example, if I remixed a buddy in Brazil and people see that this remix is being played in Sao Paulo a lot, the booker now knows this would be a hot booking. Oh. So that's one of the biggest things. It's in its infancy, but that's where everything is going, man.
So as a businessman, I love the idea of that for two reasons. Obviously with the NFT angle, where you were trying to explain it to me in the car, but if you own your track, you can sell that track as an NFT, get paid in crypto.
Yeah.
Now that person per se owns that track and then can also resell it, and you can still get royalties every time that NFT gets sold, correct?
Yeah. So you can fractionalize like one song and people can own your music, and what comes with that is more than that. Again, like if the smart contract says, okay, you own a Danny Daze NFT, this specific track, say something that came out on Blue, my planetarium show, you get to now attend Blue for free. So you can create incentives for people to now be part of your community rather than having to chase them or having to force feed stuff down their throat. They kind of understand that now you're part of a community by just, supporting the artist in that way.
Yeah, because it doesn't have to be just your music. It could be shows, virtual concerts, music releases, fan clubs, all kinds of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
What my second thing that I really liked about it, again, as a business owner, is metrics.
Sure.
So the heat mapping's pretty cool.
Yeah. That hasn't been done yet. I was, there's a concept in my head that I've been trying to put together, but wow, the work to do that is a lot.
So if a random DJ plays your song in a club, you know that they play it.
So there's a connection point that hasn't happened, which is, say, Shazam, right? Like Shazam, you can leave your phone open for 24 hours and it'll read everything that is playing at Starbucks, at an elevator. So the biggest thing now is that connection point, which might be just a chip that needs to be a universal chip that goes into either the clubs or inside a mixer, and artists will be able to actually get paid what they deserve. Most of what's going on now, say in the clubs pay a fee in order to just play music. So it's, ASCAP, BMI, Gamma, those are all pooling systems where, say last night where I played music that had no vocals pretty much the entire night, Lady Gaga still gets a percentage of that because it's a pooling system. So the decentralized part of things and being able to kind of own your own stuff is definitely gonna create a new pathway for artists to get paid and be able to live off of it. Because now I don't make money off of any of the music that I make.
That's crazy.
It's all gigs. And, you know, when you're doing 100 shows a year, for the last 20 something years, it's taxing.
I saw you walking up the stairs between the plane rides to Europe and back or whatever, and then having to stand up for hours at a time.
8 hours at a time, playing. It's a lot. Like a lot of DJs that have been doing this for, you know, 20 plus years understand we all have back pain.
I can imagine.
Our legs are all messed up. Thankfully I still look young, but it's man, we're taking a beating.
That's because you've been out of the sun for 25 years.
Yeah. I don't have windows. I don't have windows in my studio, dude. So
now the devil's advocate in me, knowing and just already, I mean, this sounds terrible, already having accepted the fact that the government knows exactly where I am at all times of the day. They know what I'm doing, where I'm at, what I'm looking at. I've kind of like accepted it already, especially people that tell me, oh, I don't want to use WhatsApp because I'm afraid that the government is watching, or I don't want to use that because, and I'm like, dude, the government is like already watching.
Sure.
What are like this Web3, like devil's advocate? It sounds amazing. Decentralized sounds great. I can't see the government allowing it either. Is there a way to actually do it that still the government will be happy and not have to track everything, and we could still have some independence?
I think regulation is something I'm not very privy to, but circumventing the government is going to be pretty tough. And I think that's why the government now is getting into the blockchain stuff like pretty deep. Like on the back end, they're really going in. They're buying Bitcoin for a reason. They're telling you, you know, they're having these regulations. I think because they're trying to stack up. Mm-hmm. When it comes to like regulation on the decentralized side of things, that's the cool thing about all these nerds and all these developers that I've known for a long time. You can circumvent, but at some point you're going to have a block, right? Mm-hmm. So like Gary Gensler just left the SEC. So now with this new administration, I think there's going to be, I'm very curious where things are going.
Okay.
Yeah, they're much more open to the Web3 world and crypto in general. Unfortunately, crypto has a bad rep.
It does.
Because like crypto bros making money, NFTs, let's go get a yacht, where's my Lambo? I'm not about that at all. I've always been about being able to do your thing, make sure that you own it, and make sure nobody else has their hand in the pot.
Right.
That's always been my thing for the last, I got into Bitcoin, 2011. And when I got into it, I didn't know that I would be here still talking about it and still going deeper into the AI side of things. So it's a cool trajectory of where everything is going now. Super
interesting, because I mean, you and I don't talk too often, but you know, when we see each other, when we talk, we obviously, you know, we go deep into different subjects. And yeah, I remember you telling me about it a few years ago, but then now you're telling me that you're actually speaking on panels and speaking at conferences.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with that you're trying to you're doing something pretty amazing. You're trying to make an impact on the industry for the artist.
Yes.
So that they could actually own their own stuff. And we were talking about Spotify, how terrible it is for the artist, how great it is for me, but terrible it is for the artist.
For the consumer, it's incredible.
Yeah.
For me, I'm still on it. I still release because on Spotify, very well knowing I'm not making a penny off of it. None of the artists on my label really care to make money because we know we don't. So again, like the everything comes from the gig, like the gigs that we do. But yeah, man, it's a cool time that we're living in, because I think that circumvention of government and like your typical gatekeepers is something that a lot of artists are now focusing on. And I'm trying to extend their knowledge on how it is that you're supposed to do it. And yeah, it takes talks like this for people to understand.
How far away do you think we are from an actual WebM3? I mean, I know that we're partly there now, but like as far as how it could really look, what you visualize for it, how far away are we from that?
What we need is a specific platform that, like a Spotify, but that is blockchain based, that is decentralized, and that, you know, automatically creates an NFT for you. So that NFT, for example, is something that can then be looked at, and how we were talking, where it can create a heat map. I would say within the next 2 years, especially with what's going on with AI, it's going to be a completely different world. It's going to be a completely different world, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I would think that the best thing would be to get Spotify on your side, obviously.
Sure, but it's not they don't want to do that.
It's not a good business decision.
No, they don't want to do that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That would be bad for them.
Yep.
Why? If they get a percentage off of it anyway. If you still own the NFT and they still get a percentage off of it, yeah, no, I guess that doesn't make sense for business.
The biggest thing right now, say, if you're creating an NFT, I think what needs to come out, and it's what I was working on before, is say this automated royalty payment system. What I was trying to do and still in there is trying to create a sort of SaaS, basically, that you then sell to Spotify, Gemma, ASCAP, BMI, where it's an underlying technology that can still follow all this music that you're putting out. Gemma, ASCAP, BMI still make their money, and they just have a new underlying technology that goes in there. That is what I've been working towards, and there's a lot of red tape, because it's not beneficial for them.
Right.
So, but at some point, it's going to have to happen.
That's what makes more sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just seems like there's a lot of work on the back end that would have to be done. Oof, that's
not really.
Isn't that like endless code and endless like?
No, man. No. It's simple. A smart contract is written like that. NFTs are
the contract. Like so you'd have to get attorneys involved in all that stuff too, right?
No, smart contract is it's the language within the NFT.
Yeah, that's like you would have to get an attorney involved eventually with that to make sure that's the right language.
When it comes to the payouts and stuff like that, and making sure it's not a security, because there's securities issues. But that would be the biggest thing.
NFT stands for
non-fungible token.
Fungible token.
Yeah.
Non-fungible means unique, unlike dollars, where every $1 is basically the same. A token means it's stored on a blockchain, a decentralized public ledger. This is kind of I'm explaining what an NFT is, but how often do you get paid in Bitcoin, would you say?
I don't get paid in Bitcoin. I usually get paid in Tether or USDC, which is a stable coin. In New York.
You know what I mean? I meant just crypto, bro.
Okay, yeah. There we go.
That's what was my question.
Let's because I don't do Bitcoin anymore. I got rid of everything in 2017.
And how much would that be worth now? You told me yesterday, and you almost started crying.
Well, I had 13,000 Bitcoin in 2011, which is roughly $1.3 billion. But
Did you hear that, Travis?
Yeah,
that's right. And he sold it all.
I didn't sell it all. I bought stuff, and I got jacked in 2013. Mount Gox, I got hacked. I've been hacked a few times. It's a tricky space, man. It's a wild. I
can imagine.
It's Wild West.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like if I could put I'm always trying to like simplify things in my head so I could understand it, and it's almost like, again, I don't mean to say a negative connotation, but it's like the illegal drug trade, right? It's like, if it's decentralized, you're gonna get you can get killed, things will get stolen from you, so on and so forth. As when it gets centralized, it becomes better because it's safer and it's more monitored, stuff like that. But at the same time, like
there's no customer service.
Right. Exactly.
It's as easy as that. There's no customer service. That's why you need to understand how to, own your own keys. So you use a ledger or something like that in order to sign the last signature in order to get from point A to point B. A lot of people make the mistake of having things in like centralized wallets. That's where you'll get hacked. So I got hacked in 2013 during the Mount Gox hack, and that was like 3,000 Bitcoin.
Wow.
Yeah, which I don't know what it is. What is that now?
Well, I had money in that Bitcoin trading one that totally got hacked and everybody lost their money in.
FTX.
No, it starts with a V. I think it's the purple logo. I can't remember right now. I'll remember. It'll come back. Yeah, it was a pretty big one. I barely got any of my money back. I mean, I got a fraction of what I had in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, dude. That's what I wanted to start the show with, just because you do so much more than just DJ.
Yeah, I've always been like kind of tech driven. Mm-hmm. The reason that I got into this decentralized world is because of the music. Like I've always been kind of, I hate to say the word, but underground. Mm-hmm. Like I've always kind of been a little ahead of the curve because of the music. Because, the nerds are on forums. I was running a forum back in the day. The reason that I started that I bought a synthesizer for 750 Bitcoin was because I'm like part of this, underlying darker web. Mm-hmm.
I noticed it last night.
Yeah.
There's a club out here called The Castle.
Where
it's out here in Tampa.
Yeah.
And it's very like gothic. and
word.
very like underground. And last night kind of reminded me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's the vibe, dude.
Yeah. And by the way, just doing a little bit of research on you, just in case there was something else that came up, ChatGPT knows you are very underground, my friend.
Yeah, awesome.
Why? And you know what? Honestly, that's something I've always appreciated about you, bro. Like, honestly, is you've always been very good to me. As far as like, anytime I went to one of your shows, it's like you almost like, forget this person, Vince, I got you. Mm-hmm. And you've always been sort of against the status quo. Like, I think you only played in what, 2 Ultras, right?
I played in one of the first ones.
You were like, I'm out.
Yeah, I played in one of the first ones, which was on the sand. And then a few years later, after I got a house arrest, I played again, and I was like, yeah, this is probably the last time I'll play. Right. I'll consider playing again. But yeah, I've always kind of gone against the grain. I have no idea why. I don't like following trends. I like feeding my soul. Mm-hmm. Most people, I think, tend to they lend towards their wallet and they forget who they are. The biggest thing for me has always been falling asleep, knowing that I feel like I'm myself. That I'm not. I don't work a 9-to-5 job for a very specific reason, and it's because I wanted to just follow and do what I do. That's it. That's the only thing that matters. The money doesn't matter. The fame doesn't matter. Notoriety doesn't matter. What matters is you falling asleep knowing that, damn, I did what I wanted to do. And of course, being able to eat food. Yeah. Being able to have a roof over your head. That's the only thing that matters to me.
It's pretty amazing though, because I mean, for a while there, and still now to this day, but for a while there, you were gaining like a ton of traction amongst even the commercial space. Yeah.
And right after I got out of house arrest, I just hit the ground running, man.
I remember.
I started this project called Discotech, mm-hmm. and within 6 months, we became, I think, the biggest remixing team. Honestly, I think like in the world. Everybody
really?
from China to freaking Honolulu to Russia knew who Discotech was.
You were working with those 2 guys, right? Like
I was working with this guy named Joe Maz and Gigamesh, which I found them through MySpace. I was doing bootleg remixes, and I'm like, I hit this dude up. I'm like, yo, man, we're kind of doing the same thing. Let's try something out. I knew that within 6 months I was going to be free. And dude, we just hit the ground running. And within 6 months, we became like the #1 sellers on this site called Crooklyn Clan.
I remember.
And dude, it just took off from there, man. And I was doing 5 shows a week for a good 5 or 6 years. And then finally I said, dude, I can't do this, this mainstream remixing Katy Perry. No offense to Katy Perry.
But it was great, bro.
No, it was
all
incredible.
Right, Function back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
You would basically I'm talking to you now, Travis, as well, because you're like my only audience member here. Like, Danny would be able to take Katy Perry and he would be able to blend it in with Metallica in a way where like the Katy Perry song would be playing and it would be playing, and then you would hear the Metallica in the background, and you would be like, oh my God, it's coming. And then he would blend it in a way and it would just go boom, Metallica. And it would just be like, everybody would go, like what just happened?
I still utilize that DJ boot camp that I went through basically in sets now. You know, like now I've never been one to even within the scene that I'm in now, there's a lot of, compartmentalized sectors. There's like, okay, this person plays this type of techno, this person plays electro. I think from what I've been told is that I'm known to be a bit more versatile, and I use that to for me to get shows now, being able to blend everything together and play long sets, play for 8 hours, 16 hours, like I'll play long sets and that you're going to go for a ride.
How do you do that? How do you play like at space you play for like 12 hours straight?
Yeah. I do that pretty often, man. Adrenaline. And I love this. I love being able to see people smile. I love being able to I did 16 hours in, where was it? It was in Berlin. Dude, people will go back home, sleep, and then come back. Dude, I love it, man. It's a pure adrenaline and a couple beers, but pure adrenaline, man.
Function 2004, was it?
That was like 2005. Yeah,
dude, it's crazy.
That was a restaurant that they just tried. They were like, hey, let's get a DJ here, and then all of a sudden, it really started at this place called Cafeteria. That was another restaurant where they got the front area, and they're like, let's try and put a DJ here. Then all of a sudden, man, within like 3 weeks, that thing was slammed. My buddy, this guy Diego Martinelli, is the one that gave me a shot there. And it was crazy, man. Like, I was playing New Kids on the Block into techno. You know, it was like, it was a fun time, man.
It was pretty wild. What do you think came out of that? Like, for me, I mean, we were in different high schools, but, you know, we'd hang out on weekends. I would help you set up at the bat mitzvahs. I would help you set up at some of the house parties. It was great because all the girls were there. You know, we had a good time. And then that's like more college years. That's like after graduation, stuff like that. And now I start seeing you, you know, like in these clubs. And Function was the first time for me where I was just like, oh shit, like this is real. Where I would bring my friends, I'm like, guys, I'm not being biased. It's not just because he's my friend. Like, this is like legit. And people would like walk out of there and be like, that was the most insane time I've ever had. Like, it was the best night of their life.
Yeah.
Was that, did you learn anything from that? Did anything come about that? Was there anything that you feel that like, cause for me it did, maybe not for you, but for me it was just like, wow, Danny's like, he's going somewhere.
I think it just cemented doing what I do. You know, like when I was going in there and going from whatever it is, Ox 88 into Beastie Boys, into Cyndi Lauper, and people were, they didn't know what some of the songs were. But they just trusted me. Till this day, man, in the middle of a set or anything, dude, I'll just do what I do. I'll take the risk. It doesn't matter because that risk can always be fixed. So that's pretty much what I got out of it, man. It's just like, again, just keep doing what you want to do, making sure that you feed your soul and you're falling asleep comfortable, not feeling like a prostitute. You know, a lot of people that work nowadays, it drives me wild seeing a person that is willing to work for somebody else for the rest of their lives rather than taking 1 year and focusing on something that you do. That 1 year will supersede those 45 years that you worked for somebody else. Yeah, man, that's what that did for me.
It's a fear though. People are afraid of it. I mean, look our parents.
It's comfort, man. Like, you know, there's these type A personalities that are alpha personalities that just say, nope, I'm going to do what I do. And that's it. I think most people nowadays, they're just very used to, especially with like schooling systems saying you have to do this at this time. This homework has to be turned in exactly at this time. You have to study this. That mentality goes into the rest of your life. And if you're doing that from 7 years old, you're screwed, man. You're screwed.
I think it's changing though. I think social media is helping, actually helping, especially with influencers and stuff like that. That try to encourage. I mean, Gary Vee is just one that stands out. Just like try to encourage people to go out there and give it a shot and just follow their passion.
Yeah, he was also responsible for the baseball card boom, which is
he
amazing.
Totally was, and the NFT boom. To be honest,
really? Yeah, I don't know about the NFTs. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, probably not underground or probably not in the back end, but as far as commercial wise, as far as just like bringing it out there, what the hell's an NFT? Like he got into NFTs about 3 years ago.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I just know, because I was a big baseball card collector, like really deep into baseball cards, getting them graded, like PSA graded. And when I saw him talking about it, I'm like, oof, time to bring these back. Like my Jordan rookie. I have a Jordan rookie, which is my holy grail. PSA 10. That's a house that I have right there. You know,
you're mentoring others too now, right?
Yeah, I've been doing it for a while. I don't know if to consider it mentorship. You know, there's kids in Miami that have seen me for the last 20 something years, and any platform that I have, whenever I get to talk about them, I do. Whenever they need a studio, here are the keys. Whenever I'm in Europe for 3 months, here are the keys. You can sleep in my studio. I think that's one thing that's needed if you are an artist. You know, you need somebody that is going to give you all the the minutia of this industry in general, being able to understand when to get a manager, when to get an artist, you know, how much music you should be releasing, what you should be releasing, is something that, you know, a lot of like the younger generation has kind of just reached out to me. So I don't know if I consider it a mentorship, but kind of is, you know. But
you had a few yourself, didn't you? Or wasn't? I remember you telling me there was somebody that you could actually lean on. Some of the older statesmen that were very nice, very cool, that you could actually go to.
Unfortunately, not.
No.
Unfortunately, not. Like I had some people that I looked up to, but I never really had a mentor. That's why for me, it's a big deal to make sure that I can add shortcuts to people's careers. Because for me, I've been just like carving away, paving my way, because I didn't really have anybody to look up to or to ask questions or to say, hey, should I take this show? When should I get a manager?
Yeah, you're right.
So I never had it, but again, I hit the ground running with discotheque, and I was like, all right, cool, let's figure this out.
Let me ask you, I want to get back to discotheque, but where do you think you get that from, as far as how were you able to resist the temptation of going commercial and the fame and money and everything that comes with it?
I just see it as basic, and I don't like to be basic.
Super basic.
Yeah, I don't like to follow just basic stuff. You know, like even as a kid, I was a break dancer. Not many people were break dancers. I saw a DJ. I'm like, that's what I want to do. It's hard. Back then, when we were using vinyl only, it was tough. So I've always liked that strain. Even now, like the way that I live very modest in the back of a house that has no windows.
That's true.
And I've always liked that, because again, it just feeds the soul, you know? So it's that's pretty much the reason.
So you've got a brand, you've got a label, tell me about Omnidisc, and tell me about sort of what you've been able to do with that and sort of where you see that going.
So Omnidisc is my label. There's about 20 something artists on there. Really, it's a collective of like-minded individuals that just want to release good music, not really expecting an insane outcome monetarily, but at least having a collection of like-minded individuals. And, you know, they call me like the ringleader of the circus, because I connect a lot of people, and they end up living together. They end up dating. They end up like, I love doing that. That's very important for me, not only because, you know, you have people with you, but it's also like a big business card or a billboard as to what type of music it is that I like. And it's not necessarily going after popular artists. I usually search for people that are unknown. And again, having that platform, knowing that I have that platform, being able to have an interview and talk about them, it does a lot. Like one interview can do a lot for another artist. There's a kid who I'm very fond of, this kid named RHR from Brazil, and straight up, like me releasing him 15 years ago, or however it was that maybe not 15 years ago, a little more than that, or a little less than that. Dude, it does a lot for that kid. It took him out of the favelas. Now he's traveling the world. This guy's blowing up, and that feeds my soul. It's, you know, it feeds my soul, man.
So would you say Omnidisc is that like a business venture, or is that kind of a way to also mentor, help out people and DJs upcoming and people that you find very talented, and connecting them?
If you call being in the red a business venture, then probably no. It's definitely not a business venture. Usually, you know, when you're printing vinyl nowadays, it's not a way to make money. It really is a way to just connect and have a family of people that you just like.
Yeah.
That's what, for me, that's the one thing that matters. If I'm going to be doing this for another 20 something years, I better have people around me that I like, that I can have conversations with, that are not tormented with fame, money, notoriety. You know, like for me, it's super, super important, and it's what pushes me forward as well.
I remember you telling me one day when you were doing the function days, is that, you know, you were telling me how it was just a mess on the back end, like just the money that was going on and like the people who ran the stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah, dude, you know how much money I'm owed? I had one incident I remember where I was owed with like not the function guys, but the cafeteria owed me money, and this guy named Vuk, who was the doorman.
Yeah, they were all Russians, right?
I don't know if he's I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know where that name is from.
Yeah.
Dude, I was telling him, man, this lady owes me a bunch of money. Next week, he had the money for me. I have no idea what happened, but Vuk got me $3,000, and at that point, $3,000 was a lot of money for me. I'm like, yo, this is gonna pay my bills, and it's shady, man. It's a shady business. So you know, I try, and if I make money off of music, dude, I'll give everything to them, dude. I'll give everything to the artist. Unfortunately, there's no money. There's no money, especially when you're releasing relatively unknown artists, you know?
So would you even advise somebody to get into this industry? Like, as far as if they're in it for the money?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, especially if you don't care about the art. So if you don't care about the art and you understand that follower counts mean more now than talent, if you're willing to be that kind of artist, by all means, go out there and start TikToking. Go out there and start doing little dances and create content and create. That's not for me. I can't do that. My content is me behind the decks in a completely darkened room, and you're just listening to the music, knowing that I'm going buck wild back there. That's I'm older too, so I don't necessarily care about the follower count and all that. It's just like, yeah, if you want to make money, just go be a DJ. Who cares about the talent? Just have a good Instagram account and TikTok, and you'll be fine.
Do you think that's where it's headed now, or do you think that's kind of just the way it's always been?
No, it hasn't always been like that. It's over the last 5 years, it's become that. I don't. I definitely don't pursue that route. It's not my thing. But a lot of people are skyrocketing within a matter of 6 months just because they have one TikTok that went viral.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Which again leads to the same people that I was admiring is they're pushing everybody to post on social media so much that they're just one TikTok video away from exploding, and then.
But then you get up there and you can't deliver. So that's what's happening. Like there's a lot of songs that go viral on TikTok, and they may sell some tickets, and then when you get to the show, they're terrible. So, you have to have experience in order to prolong this skyrocketed success that you've just experienced. So that's the thing now. It's like this balance of having experience and then being able to deliver.
Right.
So for example, there's this guy named, what's his name? Mochak, where he like went viral on TikTok for just being super animated, but he delivers. The guy, great DJ, delivers. And then you have people on the opposite side where they go viral, and then you get there and you're like, this person can't even mix, or this person's not making their music. So it's that balance.
Do you think it's capable for these people to like? I was going to start the show off last night thinking, I told you I was just like, I really want to get into your hard work and your drive and your work ethic and how you are a 25-year overnight success. Mm-hmm. Do you think there really are people that are just legit overnight successes, that they just one TikTok video and it's just like they explode? Or is it more like that guy that you're telling me, I forgot his name, that you just mentioned now?
Yeah.
Maybe he's been putting in the work and he finally got his break.
Yeah. Nowadays, to be honest,
easier.
I think there's a lot of overnight successes,
for real.
but it's usually a flash in the pan. They just spark up and then go right back down. But a person like him, Mochak, who's been DJing for a while and is genuinely talented, people like that do have a longer lasting career, because when you get up to the stage or the music that you're making, it's on point.
Right.
Like for me, I've been DJing now 26 years, been making music for about 23, and it's definitely not an overnight success. It's more just staying focused, doing your thing, and building a foundation of followers that know exactly what you're about.
Right.
So the people that come out to my shows, they know that they're not going to get theatrics when I'm up there. I'm not going to be floating around dancing. No, I might a little bit, but it's, yeah, man, it's a lot easier for artists now. It's a lot easier.
What do you want to be known for?
Detail and honesty. Those are the two things. I would say honesty first, honesty as an artist, honesty as a human being, and how detailed I am with every little decision that I make. I don't want to take myself too seriously, but at the same time, I do understand when to say no. That's what I want to be known for.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I can see that too.
Yeah. That's always been my biggest thing. I'm not trying to take myself seriously when it comes to this, because this is stupid. I'm just a DJ playing other people's music. Sure, I make my own music, and I take on projects like the Planetarium show that I've done. But I think having that honesty within yourself, being able to fall asleep, saying this is who I am, even for myself. I don't care if other people know me like this. Myself, I want to be honest. Fall asleep honestly, wake up honestly, and just feel 100% myself.
You've always been great at that, man.
Trying to. Yeah.
I mean, like, I remember again when you were at the Function Days and you're starting to explode, and what is it that My Everything song comes out? Oh
yeah, You're Everything. Yeah,
You're Everything. That song, I still play that shit.
Yeah,
It's a great song, but it's definitely not really you. Like it is, but it's got
Yeah, it definitely is, but somebody just coined it deep house. I'm not a deep house DJ at all. That record.
I've coined you deep house a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine.
What do I know?
But it's more. That's a disco Miami bass record.
It's a great song.
Yeah, thanks.
I fucking love that song.
That song. It's crazy. That's like a skyrocketing moment. That was a pretty pivotal moment going from discotheque to just Danny Daze stuff. It's crazy. I produced that song, finished it in January of 2011. March of 2011, it was the biggest song in Miami Music Week or WMC as it was called at the time. Mm-hmm. And it's insane to see how fast things can happen. But once it goes really quick, you have to make sure that you have the experience and the knowledge and the technical skills in order to maintain it. That's why I'm still here. That's why, a lot of people that were releasing music right around that time, they've tapered off, and I just still have a nice, slow, steady progression and foundation being built.
Would you put that into just continuously learning and actually developing your skills, constantly going back to, okay, what else can I learn? Where can I go from here?
Yes, and trusting yourself. So, with a moment like that, which is really interesting, it basically skyrocketed me to a point where the first show I ever did in Europe was Room 1 at Fabric. Gigantic, is one of the most famous clubs in the world. And I'm just looking around, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. This is quick. I've always wanted to do something like this, but I knew that I had to maintain my honesty, humility, and integrity. And I remember Room 2, I think this guy, The Advent, was playing. I think Carrie Leckerbush was playing. And I'm like, that's where I want to be. So it took a long time for a song like that to start dwindle down, and the fans or the people that like that music to start understanding another side of me. That was a very, very hard struggle. It took me about 6 or 7 years for people that kind of pegged me into a wall as a deep house guy to know, okay, this guy is a bit more into the IDM world, into the experimental music, into techno and electro. That was a struggle, and that was a fun struggle to be part of, because now people understand that, okay, there's a much deeper foundation. So it's been pretty cool.
I like the idea of that, though. You worked your way up there, mm-hmm. You exploded. That's great, because now everybody knows who you are, and now you could actually show them who you are.
Yes, but it was kind of a parachute back down, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I had to slowly do it, because if you go from A to Z, people tend to drop out. But if mm-hmm. you go from A to B to Z, slowly, people are like, oh, okay, I'm getting this. That took about 7 years to do.
Wow.
Up until one point, up until 2017, 2018, I started playing much more respectable events. And dude, from there, it's just been kind of nonstop, man. It's been people understand what it is that I do now.
What do you see just techno and electronic dance music in general? Where do you see it going? Do you see it just continuing to get better, to get more popular? Where do you see it going?
It's the most popular thing now. Every single genre, whether it's Latin music, whether it's hip hop, all these artists, the Drakes of the world, dude, they're all making dance music. I'm not necessarily sure it's a good thing, at least for the underground heads, but it's the biggest thing there is right now. It's the biggest thing there is.
How does one become an underground head? Where does one have to go to find your music and sort of, because honestly, I am not an underground head. I think one of the reasons why we've been friends for so long is because I'm actually not at all part of the scene, but I still really enjoy your music. How does one become an underground head? Did you just fall into it, or
dude? I think for me, it started from breakdancing. Okay. Right, so I was listening to Electro, Africa Bambaataa, Planet Rock, all that stuff.
Yeah,
it started from there, and then going to parties where they were playing that kind of music, but then the weird stuff. So I think it's innate. I think it's you're either deep into this kind of music and deep into this digging of real arts, not the mainstream stuff. So yeah, man, for me, I think it just comes, you either have it or you don't, right? Because there's people that like certain types of film, that they get deep into independent films. And then there's people that like Michael Bay Transformer films. Right. I'm not necessarily the one that likes Transformer films. Yeah. I tend to go for something that has a meaning behind it, where when you walk out of it, you want to cry, that's what I try and go for on a consistent basis with all arts.
You have this ability to feel you have this ability to feel the crowd too. Like,
Yes.
you know exactly what they want.
Yeah, they're there for you, right? Like, so when I was doing the discotheque stuff, they didn't care who the hell was up there playing the new Pitbull. Because when they're going to shows that I'm doing now, they're there coming to hear you, which is that in itself, the serotonin levels that you get when you're out of one of those shows beats anything in the world, man. Beats anything in the world. Whether you're playing for 45 people or 30,000 people, dude. It's wild.
What's the difference in that? It's just more humbling where you're going and everybody's there. It's got to be an easier set too, right? Or is it more pressure?
Definitely easier because you're just doing what you do. Pressure comes from when a club promoter or the club manager is telling, yo, we need to play the new Daddy Yankee right now, or whatever. Yo, we need to play it right now. And then they got the sparklers coming up, and then they have. Yeah, no, man, I'll never do that again. I was doing that 5 nights a week in Miami, and holy crap, that was brutal. That was brutal. So yeah, where I'm at now is the place where I think I would assume most people in their lives want to be in that place of comfort. And yeah, man.
I've watched it. I watched the whole thing, man. I think it's great.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask you one you can take your time to answer. If music disappeared tomorrow, no DJing, no label, what skills or mindsets would you take with you into your next venture?
If I had to stop,
You couldn't DJ.
Discipline. And that came from tennis, to be honest. Like the discipline that we had to have. I don't know if you mentioned that we played tennis together. Did
I mention in the beginning?
No,
I just said that we were on the tennis court, and you told me, So for those that don't know, Danny and I used to play tennis throughout high school. We went to separate high schools, but we would meet every single afternoon at the Big Five Club with Coach Ruben Lamont, and he would kick our ass every single day.
Yeah. So the discipline that I got out of that.
By the way, before you finished, same thing for me. I would agree with you 100%. Is I would go out there and he would fucking push us to a point where it was just like throwing up on the side and all of that.
Yeah. So I think the discipline that I got out of that and the discipline that it, led to, because most of what I do, I get a lot of no's. Most of my stuff is like, nope, you're not getting booked here. Nope, you're not getting booked here. Nope, you don't fit this criteria that we may need nowadays. And it's just a discipline to continue and not beat yourself up over that no that you got. Whether you're starting a brand new company, whether it's a startup, you're more than likely going to fail. More than likely. Like a lot of these new startups and entrepreneurs and people, most of the time they're failing. And all you need is that one yes and that one moment of, okay, this worked. Boom, all of a sudden your life is set. That's what happened to me. Like, thankfully, it happened with discotheque pretty quick. It happened when I was leaving discotheque. I took that knowledge of knowing how to produce pop music, put it into one song, and again, there was another exponential curve for me. So yeah, man.
Life is just continuous, endless amounts of just failures that just add up until,
Pivotal moments that are usually backed up by a bunch of negative moments where you may consider negative moments. But for me, they're not negative moments. They're actually detours, knowing not to do that again. It's kind of a pinball machine until you get, boom, you get the goal that you wanted.
They're learning experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to go through the shit before you could actually get to the diamonds.
Yeah, man.
Finish this sentence for me. The next chapter of Danny Daze is going to be?
Next chapter for me, man. Damn, that's a good question. I'm starting to settle down, right? So like, I've always wanted a kid or at least a dog. Like, I don't even have a dog.
You travel too much. You can't have a dog.
Yeah. I've always wanted, maybe I'll get a dog first. But the next chapter for me, I think does involve culture. It does involve putting things back into Miami where I can, if it's opening up a museum, if it's opening up something that helps underprivileged kids, that's my next focus. Because I also want to slow down. I want to I don't want to have to do 80 to 100 shows a year. For me, I'd rather take 4 shows a month, 2 weekends, and be able to live a different lifestyle that is, based on a bit more foundation where I don't, dude, I've been living off a suitcase forever. So that's my next step. That's my next focus.
Could you do that? I mean, you've been doing this for so long. You think you could slow down a little? I mean, you have no choice, don't you?
I can say that I can. I don't know if I can.
Because I feel like I've had this conversation with you before several years ago.
Yeah, once.
And you just did 14 shows in April.
Yeah. Once you're, doing this for so long, I can't say if I can do it. There's a lot of DJs that retire and then they come out of retirement.
Right.
Like the dopamine hits that you're getting.
Is it the dopamine? Is it like an athlete that walks into the stadium and they get all that energy from the crowd? Is it similar to that?
I assume so. The only time I've ever had even a peek into that was during the pandemic when we were locked down.
Right.
Miami was barely locked down. We were pretty degenerate out there, but
Florida in general.
Yeah, in general. That's the only time, and man, I felt like a caged tiger. Like I was freaking out, man. I was in my room meditating. I was in like, bro, what can I do here to be at ease? And it's actually at the same time some of the most peaceful moments I've ever had. So
in hindsight.
No, I was in it.
Yeah,
it took me about 6 months, but I was finding peace. I actually told myself, okay, I guess I'm not going to move back to Europe, and I assume that I can slow down quite a bit. Yeah, because the reason that I'm doing it now, honestly, it's because I haven't had a partner, which I now have a partner. I haven't had, a reason to. So that's been my biggest thing. I assume I can do it, but I know that I'm never going to retire. Never.
You shouldn't.
Yeah,
you can.
You can't retire from music, and especially the deeper side of music and the more underground stuff where it consumes me every single day. It's all that I think about. As soon as I wake up, as I'm falling asleep, I dream about it. I dream about, how much more I can do for the community in Miami, whether it's, again, just giving kids the keys to my studio or them calling me and asking for advice of stuff that I never had, somebody to look up to. I never had a mentor or anything like that. I dream about that all the time.
I think that's where it's at. When you stop making it about yourself and you start making it about everyone around you, especially with what you're doing with helping the community and helping up and comers and stuff like that. When you stop making it about yourself and you start making it about everyone else, it's a whole other. It's like, honestly, the success happens even faster. The money starts coming even faster. It's a weird thing that happens when you just like go selfless with it. And if that's the direction that you're headed in, I mean, I think that's great. And you've always been like that too.
Yeah. And it helps emotionally, man. It's kind of selfish, actually, to be honest.
It is weird. Yes, it is selfish, but at the same time, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. I get more out of seeing my friends get booked at places that I wish that I could play than me actually playing there. When I see like the younger generation, people that I've been around, and they're playing shows that I've been wanting to play for 10 years, I'm like, hell yeah, dude, sick. I'll play maybe one day. I'll play there one day. Hopefully it comes around where people understand, okay, this guy's got the skills, or this guy's got the, I don't know where bookings are based, what they're based off now, but just seeing the younger generation, people that I've collaborated with, been in my studio, playing shows that I wish that I could play, dude, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I think the ticket here for you, Danny, and I'm not trying to give you advice, but honestly, with what you got going with the NFTs and with the blockchain and with AI and stuff like that, where if you can make an impact, not just on a small group of artists, but like just on the entire industry in whole, even if it's just a minor impact on it, where they could actually start making money now. Because, dude, I can't see you traveling all over the world. Like you have no chance to settle down. Like this, to me, as a business person, is the way.
Yeah, for sure. Again, there's a gigantic hurdle there. There's whether it's development of the actual software
or
that
just
needs to
getting the government to buy in and all of that.
Yeah, or having investors to come and invest, $100 million to start up something that may not work.
Or I take that back. It wouldn't be the government buying in. It would have to be some kind of like just uber rich angel investor to back the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to take 100 mil, but it'll, in order to actually have decentralized and Web3 become a real thing, there definitely needs to be regulation, and there needs to be an understanding within, the bigger investors of the world, knowing that their money is safe, knowing that this is the way forward. It hasn't been proven yet. And usually it takes one absolutely maniacal dude to come in and say, this is what we're doing. You know, the Zuckerbergs of the world.
That's what it has to be.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not Zuckerberg. That's for sure.
No,
I'm too tired for that. If I do slow down with the touring, I know that I can spearhead something to pay, like, you know, try and move things forward. But there's a lot of guys kind of, you know, attacking it. And the only thing that I'm doing is kind of giving them some, you know, pointers, advice, or even just being able to talk to artists about, you know, try going the Web3 route, try going this decentralized route.
But they're concerned,
with the way that you're moving forward in your career.
But it's got to be concerning too. It's fearful because it's just not.
Nothing right now is solidified. So like usually when something is solidified, that's when people jump on. But when you're kind of coming in off the ground, it's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking because you may go and release music on a relatively unknown platform, or you didn't, and then all of a sudden that platform becomes absolutely gigantic and you're like, holy crap, I could have done this a long time ago. So people usually jump on when the train's already moving. I've always been one that jumps on when the train is like still being built.
That's pretty impressive.
I've always been that way. I have no idea why. I think it's maybe the struggles that I've always had in my life, just as a Cuban kid, no money. I've always been one that, yeah, man, tries to jump on when the train is being built, when the roadways are being built, when when the foundation is being built. You know,
but that's the visionary in you too, man. That's just something that's innate that you just probably just learned because everybody's trying to get there too. Everyone wants to get in before the train's being built, but you've always been able to see into the future of it.
I think I have no idea how. I have no idea how. But thankfully it's worked. And again, I think it's just because I'm sticking to the, dude, it's all the music. Like I got into stuff that, you know, the trains that are being built now, I got put into that because of this more underground world that I live in, this darker web. When you're part of that and you're talking to people on Reddit on a very specific thing, 2 years later is when those conversations really come up. So I've always kind of been ahead of the curve by mistake and because of the music.
That makes sense.
Yeah, man.
All right, we got to wrap this up. I'm going to give you some fun questions though, real quick. This is rapid fire that we came up with here.
Okay.
Ready? Favorite city to DJ in?
Sao Paulo.
One record that changed your life?
Planet Rock, Africa Bambaataa.
First big splurge when you made real money?
Bought a car, bought a Volvo. I just like.
Of course, I saw this question. I'm like, it's going to be so whack.
Yeah. But yeah.
Craziest thing you've ever seen at a show?
Actually, the splurge, I gave my mom quite a bit of money to help her out with the house. That was it was like 60 grand or something. Just like, here you go.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Craziest thing you've ever seen at a show?
I can't talk about it, dude. That's triple X, man. Like it's really bad.
One word to describe Web3.
Decentralized.
What's next for the future of nightlife?
What's next for the future of nightlife? I cannot answer that, dude.
That's too, I don't like that as a rapid fire.
Yeah.
We'll go next one, last one. One artist alive or dead you wish you could collab with?
Prince.
Nice, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Danny, thank you so much for coming on, coming all the way over here from beautiful Miami, and we'll go grab some lunch now. And it was great talking to you. I bet you didn't think we were going to talk about some of those things. Huh?
Yeah. We can keep going for 2 hours.
I know. I saw the time. I'm just like, Travis is probably staring at me over here. Yeah. So, all right, Danny, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on, bro.
Thank you, brother.